teachers, and welcome to lesson 89 on finding a square root. If we know the area of a square, we can find the length of each side. If the area of a square is 25, for example, each side must be 5 units long because 5 times 5 is 25. That's what's illustrated right here. Here we have a square, and if both of its sides are 5 units long, then the area of that square is going to be 25. I can work backwards and say, well, if the area is 25, then 5 times 5 is 25, so each side must be 5 units long. If I had a square that had an area of 36 units, then I would have to think, well, what times what equals 36? 6 times 6 equals 36, so each side length must be 6 to get an area of 36. When we do this, when we find the side of a square from the area, we're finding the square root. That's what it's called. Everybody say square root. So it's taking the area, and from that area, we're figuring out how many units long one side would be. To do this, we must think, what number times itself equals the area? Okay, like we talked about, 5 times itself, 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 4 times 4 is 16. That's what you're going to be thinking. What number times itself equals whatever area they've given you? Here's some examples. The area of a square is 36 centimeters. How long is each side? Well, think some number times itself equals 36. What is that number? Good, it's 6. 6 times 6 is 36. And we write this right here. See this little funky symbol? It's like a division sign with then this little, it comes up like a V and goes out. This is the square root symbol right here. And so this says the square root of 36 means the square root of 36. That's what it's asking. It's asking what number times itself would equal 36. So the square root of 36 is 6. Because 6 times 6 is 36. The square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. All right, the area of a square is 81 centimeters. How long is each side? I want you to do this one. Follow the same steps here to figure out what it is. Page 2. All right, this is asking the same thing. So find the square root of 100. What number times itself equals 100? 10 times 10 is 100. So the square root of 100 is 10. Okay, what about this one? The square root of 49. What number times itself equals 49? Because that's going to be your answer. Plug it in there. A perfect square has a whole number square root. All the examples I just gave you are called perfect squares. Shade the perfect square. So here we go. Okay, ready? You're going to take your pencil. We've got perfect squares are when we multiply a number times another number and when it can be done to get a whole number. So here we go. So 2 times 2. 4 is a perfect square because 2 times 2 is 4. So if I were to divide, yeah, don't worry about that. You'll learn about that later on. 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 is a perfect square. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 is a perfect square. 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 is a perfect square. What about 6 squared? That means 6 times 6 is 36. So 36 is a perfect square. 7 squared. 8 squared. All these numbers, 36, 49, 64, are perfect squares because if I find their square root, it's going to give me a whole number. The square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 49 is 7. And this is showing us that basically squaring something right here with that little 2 that we've learned about is the opposite of finding the square root of it. They undo each other. If I square something and then I find the square root, it'll undo it. Here's the last part of this lesson, and it involves comparing. Okay, so for this one, it says what you need to know is that you always do exponents for PEMDAS in order of operations. This right here, E, stands for exponents. That includes the square root of things or things being squared. So here we have the square root of 9 plus 16. When it's inside here together, it's almost like it's in parentheses. We're going to add first. So we've got 9 plus 16, which is 25. And now we need to find the square root of 25. So what number times itself is 25? 5. And we want to compare that to the square root of 9. So what number times itself is 9? 3. Plus, what number times itself is 16? 3 plus 4 is 7. So which of those numbers is bigger? 7. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Remember, you're going to do this and this before you do this. So find the square root of 36, do 3 squared, and then subtract them to get your answer. Go ahead and bring that to school tomorrow. Go ahead and get to work.